Good morning, everybody. We'll do the update. So basically, still Category 5 this morning from the Hurricane Center. It's basically making its way northeast at about 15 miles an hour. Looks like it's going to be near and just south of Sarasota as a Cat 4 about 2 or 3 in the morning. So let's look at multiple things here. The first thing, look at satellite. It's held pretty good all night, and it looks like the continues to move northeast. You can tell the shear is starting to impede on it because the western flank, instead of being circular, you see how it's getting flat. That means the trough is starting to impede on it. It's digging down, and it's going to start shoving it. It's going to grab it and move it more faster to the northeast. Won't spend a lot of time on that. The thing that's going to be the bigger story initially today, the Storm Prediction Center has issued enhanced risk across central Florida from the east coast, Milburn, all the way back over to Fort Myers, up to the south side of Sarasota. Let's look at the tornado deal. It's 10%. So we're going to expect not only tornadoes, water spouts coming on shore. We're expecting tornadoes, a few damaging tornadoes. This is almost like a plains type outbreak. We're going to have cluster tornadic storms coming off the Gulf this morning, already in progress. Tornado warnings now just west of Okeechobee Lake and just to the northeast of Fort Myers. This is going to intensify. There's going to be a swarm of tornadoes develop this morning and early afternoon, and they're going to lift northward with a boundary. As the hurricane comes up, the boundary is going to come up. This area is going to break out in sunshine. It's already doing this morning, and as it heats up and the conditions get extremely favorable for tornadoes and clusters of tornadoes, expect damaging tornado outbreak from Fort Myers over to the north of Okeechobee Lake here, and then lifted northeast as the day goes on into this afternoon. Be heads up, we're going to have bad tornadoes today. That's the other thing. Here's the models, the overnight models. It sees it like this is the midnight run of all the models, and it says, hey, I'm a low in Cat 5, which is correct, and it's out for 12 hours, which would be valid for noon today. It's got it coming like just about, high 4, low Cat 5 at noon today at 12 hours. And then by 24 hours, which is actually going to be tomorrow night, it's obviously down to a low 4. So as it starts coming ashore, it's probably somewhere in the mid to low Cat 4, somewhere near Sarasota. So that's kind of that story. Let's look at there's the hurricane off of Key West radar this morning. You can see the battering eyes. All these right now up here, these are tornadic storms off water spouts offshore. They've all got kidney bean shapes. I've also now got supercells rapidly developing across south central Florida, west of Fort Lauderdale, west of Miami. These are going to turn into damaging tornadoes as they move northeast. So you're going to have waves of tornadoes this morning and early afternoon. They're going to be rotating up like this all day. Expect damaging tornadoes all through this area. Be heads up, these are going to be moving fast northwest at 50 to 60 miles an hour. They are going to produce, you're not going to be your little F0s, F1s you normally get in Florida, and a landfall in a hurricane. These are going to be more significant damaging tornadoes. Be heads up on that. Based on the Key West radar, you can, let's go to Key West here. They got, looks like the automatic deal. See what the winds are gusting to. 38 knots, 44 miles an hour recorded automatic sensor. So you got tropical storm force winds. They're basically probably like this. They're going to be coming ashore here at about 9, 10 o'clock. Tropical storm force winds, the extremely intense winds, you're going to get 100 here, and then you're going to be 120, 150 in here on that eye. The critical thing today is that the models continue to struggle a little bit. The models say right now that I'm going to turn off the radar here just so I can get you a clean image. The models, they're in the general area, and this is going to be a cliffhanger as far as the deal. Right now, just go with the NHC track. It's the official track. It's kind of like in this, ballpark-ish here. People not going to be perfect drawing this, whatever it is, right in that Sarasota, it's just north of Sarasota. It's the track's Bradenton area, just in this general area, right? So based on the current track, I would expect catastrophic damage from wind and storm surge in the Sarasota area. You're going to have storm surge also possibly in the Eastern Bay. I'll talk about that in a minute. But this is the area that's what we're going to call the super bad stuff, right? Depending on the eye track, right? This area, right, that general area, right? I expect catastrophic storm surge and catastrophic wind damage, right? Winds 120, gusting 155, a Cat 4 online. You're going to have roofs come off. You're going to have building failures. You're going to have building walls will collapse. Piers are going to be destroyed. The storm surge, they're going 15 feet. There will be a very tiny area. And again, I do not have the data yet to show you this, but I will at some point today. Based on its current tracking intensity as a Cat 4, we should have a very, very, very small area, maybe about 10 miles wide. And I don't have that data exactly where it's going to be, but we're going to have a very small area. You'll probably exceed 15 feet in storm surge. It may be upwards closer to 20, and that's going to be in a very, very, very tiny area right around and near the eye. Just ballparkish right now, I'm going to say it's something like that, right? A very extreme, just catastrophic storm surge. So that's that. Several of the models overnight. Some of the hurricane models, they're kind of like in this general area, right? In that general area, I've got several of the hurricane models, including my in-house air model. I've got other models that bring it ashore, just kind of like, this is ballparkish. It kind of does this. It comes up the mouth. Some of them come up and then they go like just south of downtown Tampa. I've got other models I trust, they're doing like this. There's other models that are just like this, okay? So depending on how this actually unfolds with the eye, let's go back to look at the radar, because it's all about the radar today. I told you that yesterday. I'm 100% on radar. I don't care about models now. Really, I was like, where's the radar? Where's the eye? So as the afternoon goes on and we get into this evening and overnight tonight, we're going to watch this eye, right? And see all this bad wind here. For example, let's say it goes down at Sarasota, or it's just north of Sarasota on the current track. And if you envision that area just kind of in the Bradenton area, close to that area, if you imagine the eye like going into this Bradenton area, roughly like that, something like that. Well, if you take that center track and you go north like 15, 20 miles, the north eye wall, so now I'm gonna go back to the eye, it's gonna change shape dramatically, right? So if it's going over to Bradenton, and if you look at the center track here, it's just a tiny eye right now. So if you go 15, 20 miles out, what do you see from the center? Well, you got this damaging wind of this catastrophic wind damage deal, and this is going to totally dramatically, matter of fact, it's going to spread out. It's going to be a much larger eye, a much larger outer ring of extreme damage. It's going to go like this when it's making landfall. It's going to be this big, huge red center. The center's going to be like this, but this whole area is going to be this massive red area. Well, if it goes over Bradenton or Sarasota, right? Let's say the eye tracks there on the current official hurricane track. What does this up here do? Well, guess what? That area is going to be near Tampa, possibly downtown, over here at St. Petersburg, in that area where we're at. You're going to be possibly, if this area ends, if the track's down here, right? Fine, you're going to have the catastrophic storm surge. You're going to have possibly offshore flow if that's where the track goes. You're going to have negative storm surge in the bay potentially. If it goes down south there, you'll have some storm surge in the southern bay. But what I'm also more concerned about now, and actually I think it's a higher risk now for Tampa and St. Petersburg, if the track goes down to Bradenton, which it looks like it will, is that north eye wall, when it passes south of you overnight tonight, and it does this, something to that effect, 15 to 20 miles to the left of that, you're going to have this extremely destructive eye wall that's going to have this massive wind load, right? This is destructive eye wall, wherever in that band ends up setting up, because you're going to have heavy rain and sails, and the models explicitly say kind of south of the eye wall, you don't have a lot of convection, meaning that if you don't have real heavy convection, it's going to be hard to get those really high winds down to the ground. But if I've got 40, 50 dBZs, which is kind of what's going on this morning, which is expected, right? You have this big, heavy core. Well, who's ever in this big, heavy core tonight, if the landfall is going south of you, depending on if it comes across Bradenton, Sarasota, the farther south that is, then it takes Tampa out of even the highest threat. But as this eye wall expands, this is going to produce massive, massive wind damage across very close to downtown Tampa, down to St. Petersburg, and just south here on the south side of the bay. This right here, even though you may survive and be saved by the storm surge, this is going to do catastrophic wind damage. I'm talking about roof coming off houses. I'm talking about mobile homes being totally blown away. I'm talking about walls collapsing. I'm talking about them in downtown St. Petersburg, and I can tell you there's construction cranes here. Let's go to Google Maps. I know I'm ripping stuff off at Warp 5 here, but let's look at this. Let me get Google Maps here. Let's show you here. So I'm in downtown St. Petersburg here, and I can tell you there's 3 or 4 high-rise buildings downtown that are in construction. They've got construction materials on them. They're only about a fourth of the way partial glass on one side of the building. So if I get 100, 120, 130 mile-an-hour winds over coming out of the northeast and east as this eye's passing the south down here at Bradenton, if you're at Ruskin, Riverview, and you have this northeast to east wind at 100 miles an hour tonight, and the bay's going to be surging back that way, if it goes on the current track, then you're going to have winds that will accelerate across the bay here because there's no friction, right? So the winds will be 100, 120, maybe gust to 140. That eye wall, as that comes across here, you're going to have major damage, wind damage. So if you're on the east-northeast side, the winds will be out of the east-northeast as that's coming up to your south, and you're going to switch to north, then northwest, and then west as the eye passes south of you. So the wind's going to be like out of the east at 100, then it'll come northeast, then it'll come north, and then northwest as the eye goes down. But you're going to have massive wind damage all along the beaches here, St. Pete Beach, all this area down in here. You're going to have massive wind damage out of the northeast, northwest, because you're going to be in that northwest eye wall, and the northeast eye wall is going to be somewhere over in this area. Again, depending on the exact track, right? Right now it's kind of in the Bradenton area. So anywhere in that north eye wall, as the winds spread out today, that north eye wall, because the models explicitly show very heavy convection in this area as the eye's passing south. Well, if I have very heavy storms there and that north eye wall, I'm going to get those 100+ mile-an-hour winds to the ground. So right now this morning at 8:22 a.m., the current forecast is for the hurricane to go south of you, and that's the official forecast from NHC, and I think that's pretty close to what's going to happen, right? I mean, it's these things are not absolute super science, but you can see it's kind of in the just northwest of Sarasota there. So if the eye just comes 5 miles or 10 miles further north, then we think right now at 8 a.m. At 5 o'clock advisory, it decides to just come 10 miles, not 40 miles, but just 5 or 10 miles, then the whole picture starts changing for Tampa Bay, both on storm surge and catastrophic wind damage, right? So, guys, this is about one of the most that is definitely the most closest situation I've seen when it comes to exactly where the hurricane track's going to be, and some of the models are generally having that general area just north of Sarasota there, and you can see how it makes that hard bend, and right at landfall at 2 a.m., I believe that's correct. I mean, this is nuts, guys. 130 gust to 160. Guys, if you just took 130, forget about the gust. That's massive catastrophic damage. You're talking about infrastructure failure on the utility grids. We're talking about roofs off buildings, a collapse of many homes. Many roofs are going to collapse or peel off. So this is really major, right? So all you do, if you just move this thing 10 or 15 miles, just 10 miles further north, if it decides to come 10 miles further north, then it changes the whole plan in Tampa Bay, both on storm surge and extreme catastrophic wind damage, right? So I'm focused on the absolute area, but the other thing I want to talk about real quick is let's talk about storm surge. It changed a little bit, but not a lot. They dropped it from 8 to 15 in Tampa Bay, based on it's going to go just south of Tampa Bay, and the current is 8 to 12, so it's down 3 feet. 10 to 15 feet, it's a little bit higher now than Sarasota southward down here, right? Port Charlotte area, right? This is where the massive storm surge is going to be. So this is where I expect catastrophic storm surge, but you're still going to have some storm surge possibly in the Southeast Bay, 8 to 12 is the current forecast. And again, if this thing is 5 miles farther south, the storm surge is less. If it's 5 miles further northwest and it decides to go right up the bay, north of Bradenton, right in this middle part of the Bradenton, several models overnight have the hurricane going up the middle of the bay. So again, it's really close, guys. It's just really close. So anyway, that's the forecast. That's it. Let's talk about when this thing starts making landfall, right, tonight at dark. So it's going to be very dangerous. I'm going to chase some tornadoes today. I think the tornadoes they're going to be intense, right? So I'm going to leave this morning. I'm leaving here now. I'm gonna go south. I'm gonna start intercepting tornadoes probably mid-morning, late morning. I'll be on tornadoes down south, and we'll see how that goes. So all the families got kids and husband, wives. If you have no kids, whatever. Get your helmet. Get all your helmets now, whether you're in Sarasota, whether you're in Tampa, whether you're in Clearwater, anywhere around that eye wall, all the way down to Fort Myers. get your helmets, get all this kind of stuff. Even if you have a storm surge area, be prepared for roofs coming off, be ready for walls to be punctured, be ready for glass to break in your house. You'll want to get in the center part of your house, get in the bathtubs, first floor if you're not in a flood zone. Put as many walls between you and the outside as humanly possible. Get your helmets on, get in the center part of the house. That's gonna, those kind of alerts are gonna start going out. I'm guessing right now at midnight, maybe 11 to 3 in the morning, as those extremely high damaging winds come ashore. So again, it's going to be a really long day. I expect millions without power by tomorrow as this catastrophic hurricane moves across the state. Remember, don't go out in the eye wall and don't even go outside until sunrise. You got alligators, you got snakes. There's going to be animals, debris, power lines. There's going to be nails. There'll be millions and millions of nails from the roofs, commercial buildings, residential buildings. They're going to be everywhere. They're going to be in the roads. They're going to be on the yard. They're going to be on the sidewalks in downtown St. Pete, probably in downtown Tampa. Roofs come off, sheet metal, those kind of things. So you don't want to be out walking around. That's going to be a huge hazard. So this morning, there's virtually no gas anywhere. Start getting your final things taken. I would highly advise, this sounds really bad, but it's just what you got to do. Take pictures and video of your inside of your house right now. If you can walk around the outside before things get worse, take pictures and video of your house inside and out so you can document if you have to make a claim with the insurance company, what you had, what you didn't have. Also, if you get hit by a tornado, if you're anywhere in Central Florida, from basically here in Tampa Bay over to Milton, southward down toward Miami, prepare for damaging tornadoes. They're already ongoing. They're going to intensify dramatically as we get late morning and afternoon. So be prepared for that. Like I say, guys, this is about as full throttle as you get. Tornado outbreak starting now, and it really ramps up late morning to early mid-afternoon. Then we get hit with a tropical storm force winds and go into hurricane force winds. Then catastrophic Cat 5. Catastrophic storm surges on the way. It is coming. It's set in motion, right? It is not going to stop. Whether we go from a 5 to 3, 5 to 4, whatever it ends up being, it's coming. It's on its way, right? So that's coming. that's hitting. That's going to hit. Probably the big, huge battery waves start coming on shore right now. I'm going to say probably 9 o'clock, 8, 9 o'clock. The huge destructive waves are coming on shore. And then as you get closer to 11, 12, 1, 2 in the morning, that's when the massive surge is going to come up. Almost, I don't want to use the word tsunami. That's tied to an earthquake situation, but it's going to be huge wall of water rising 10 to 15, and then another 10-foot waves on top of that. So we're talking like 20-foot, just huge battery waves on top of the water. So it's not just the water rising; it's going to be the water's rising with these massive breaker waves. They're going to keep hitting the buildings and hitting your buildings and boat docks and houses right on the shore and inland half a mile in those flood zone areas, and then those are going to knock the buildings down because you get the amount of energy in those waves. You hit concrete buildings. During Ivan, there was a Cat 5 in the Gulf, and when Ivan come up into the Florida Panhandle, it's a lot more shallower shelf up there than it is where it's making landfall here off the West Coast. You had large battery waves hit 4- and 5-story commercial apartments and hotels. Those walls and those buildings broke. The downstairs broke from the big, huge southeast battery waves, and then when it blew out the walls downstairs, the walls gave way downstairs, and all the building pancaked like this. They're on the ground. 5-story hotels pancaked during Ivan. Something similar, could be very similar to this, is going to happen in certain areas where this makes landfall. Okay, I'm not telling you 5-story office buildings are going to collapse down at Sarasota. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that's the kind of energy you got. This is going to generate, right? It's going to be catastrophic bad. Really, there's no other way to say it. So anyway, I'm getting ready to go out. I'm going to go chase tornadoes this morning, today, and then I'm going to go back to the West Coast. Watch the eye, see where it makes rainfall. The closer that eye gets in the Tampa Bay, the worse it's going to be, right? If it stays on track and the center part is like south of Tampa Bay and you're in the north eye wall, then it's prepare for less of a storm surge problem, more of a catastrophic wind event, right? So the winds will be out of the northeast, and then they go to the north, and then northwest as the eye passes south of Tampa. So be prepared for that, right? So anyway, that's it. I'm ready to rock and roll. Got Starlink. It's working flawlessly. Unbelievable. So I got communications, tons of food, tons of water, tons of gas. That's it, guys. We'll bring it to you live. We'll probably start this train as soon as I get on the tornadoes here in an hour or two back south of here. All right. Anyway, guys, that's it. I can't tell you anything else. So we'll update you a little bit. Everybody, please be safe. If you're in an evacuation zone, hopefully you've already left, and we'll see how this plays out. It's going to be one for the record books for sure. All right, buddy. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. We'll give you more updates a little bit later. Bye-bye.